Hello and welcome to the Voice of Cranbridge. This series is aimed at sharing with you the essence of Cranbridge. My name is Afiq and allow me to take you through the introduction of Cranbridge.
Located just 5 minutes away from the KL City Centre, Cranbridge Tutorial Centre offers affordable British education through the Pearson Edexcel syllabus for reception level up to O and A levels. The school started with just 8 students in the first year attending its full-time tuition course. That year, 2 of the students won 3 awards for the highest in Malaysia in the Pearson Edexcel O-levels examinations for English, Economics and Accounting. Since its beginning, Cranbridge has kept up a tradition of excellence, its proudest achievement being the highest in the world for the further pure mathematics in the Pearson Edexcel O-level examinations in 2018.
Today we'll be speaking to Sharritta, a 15-year-old student from year 10 who joined Cranbridge since year 8, and it has been 2.5 years that she joined Cranbridge Tutorial Centre. And she's here with us today as a living proof that all children can and will learn. Right. How are you, Sharritta? Welcome to the show.
I'm good, thank you.
Right, I'm sure all the viewers are very excited to hear tips and tricks that you'll be sharing with us later.
Yeah.
And with all that, before we go further into details of what tips and tricks that you have to share, let's start off with your definitions of being outstanding all about.
In my opinion, an outstanding student doesn't just study 24/7. They balance everything out with other stuff they are responsible for, and they don't always achieve the marks they want. Everyone sometimes drops a little, and I think what someone should do is to take that as a motivation and a mistake to learn from, and use that to improve in their weaknesses. And I think an outstanding student also should take part in other activities the school provides, and projects and functions that you can also take part in, because it really does help a person grow, not in their studies but also as a person.
That's right.
Yeah, which I think is really
Because
good.
development is not just IQ, it's also EQ, SQ, social, emotional, and all that. Yeah. So in terms of the differences that you've experienced, since you've only been with Cranbridge for 2.5 years, prior to that you were from different school, and how do you adapt yourself and from a big school to a tutorial center like Cranbridge?
Since I was in a really big school, I was in a class with a big group, I never really paid much attention, and I found myself lacking in good grades, lacking in a lot of motivation. I found myself dropping, and I just didn't have the effort to put into studying to get the good grades I really wanted.
So you feel always left out of this out of the syllabus?
Yeah, I really did, because most of my friends were getting good grades. They really put effort into their studying, and I always felt left out because I always struggled to just maintain my average marks as it is.
Other than that, did you have any other problems that you actually experienced that hinder you from progressing back in the previous school?
I had a problem with speaking up. I was very afraid of asking a teacher for help when I didn't understand anything, which was the main problem as well, because then I would go back home and read through my notes and would not understand what I wrote down. And because I didn't ask for any help, it would just not help, and I would end up just in confusion.
Right. I'm sure many viewers also face the same problem when they find it hard to speak up, ask. So basically they're just left with their questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the end of the day they're left with no answers.
Yeah.
Right. So as a 15-year-old, what do you find motivates you to reach excellence?
I think just having work to do motivates me, because once I start doing my work, I have the urge to do even more after that. Like when I'm done with my homework, I tell myself, okay, just study for a few hours or just 30 minutes just to feel accomplished that I actually did something. And it even benefits me, for future tests. I am prepared. I'm not just clueless because I didn't study for the past few days or week. So just studying a bit a day just prepares you for the future, because sometimes the teachers throw questions at you during class.
When you say prepare, do you prepare yourself, or the school, as in the Cranbridge, also prepare room for you for excellence?
It's more of a balance. Like, the teachers always prepare me. They give me tests, and I always plan ahead to study for it. And even if I don't have any tests coming up, I just work on a subject that I need to improve in, and just spend time on it until I understand. And if I don't, I just approach my teacher, and they'll just explain to me if I don't really get anything they taught.
In terms of how many days, how many hours a day do you spend at school and additional study session at home?
The school hours are 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I think
Do you think that's sufficient?
Yes, that is very sufficient, and it's also very comfortable for me, because when I go home, I still have time to rest, and I follow my timetable to study for a few hours, and I am able to go to sleep at a decent hour, which I think is very beneficial for a person like me, because I still need to study but still get enough sleep at night to be productive the next day and the next day. So,
Your friend from other school must envy you much.
They really do.
Right. As a 15-year-old, since we're all aware that social media is all over, with the Instagram, TikTok. Did you abstain yourself from all that, or you being a 15-year-old, you still enjoy all that? And even if you do, how do you do that?
Yeah, I am involved in social media. I spend a lot of time on it. Sometimes it really does, get in the way of my studying time. And I think it's just a normal thing. Everyone sometimes just gets too involved in it.
So basically, outstanding student does not necessarily mean abstaining yourself from all this social media.
No, it really doesn't. Like, everyone will get too involved, and they'll somehow just, time will just pass by and they won't even know it. So it is very normal for somebody to use too much or
basically become obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Alright, without further ado, let's start with the 10 tips and tricks that you have to offer to all our viewers today.
Well, tip number 1 is to always have a schedule. I create a timetable for myself and I follow it properly every single day, because it trains me to not procrastinate, and it basically makes me follow it every single day. And because of that, I have turned into liking it, and actually it becoming a habit for me to study every day or work every day.
So I'm sure you're a very disciplined person, since you have a schedule and you stick to it, and many don't.
Well, the schedule did make me more disciplined than I am now, because I really wasn't before. As I mentioned, I never really tried before until I joined and I saw a change happening, and I wanted to push it even further by, sticking to a timetable and timing myself to study and, other stuff that involves. It's not just studying. Sometimes you just have to relax, make time for yourself or your family and friends. So yeah.
So that's number 1. Have a schedule.
Yeah. And tip number 2 is to figure out your best way of studying, because I've met a lot of people that have different methods. Like, for me, I prefer to be in a room that's very quiet and without my phone in it, because my phone is my major distraction. And even if it is in the room with me, I put it on vibrate, so I don't know if I'm getting any notifications from anyone. And yeah, to figure out your best way, you kind of just have to try everything, because I did try different methods before coming to this particular method, which I found more effective. Like, I've seen people that prefer to study with music in the background, and people that prefer to write down whatever they want to remember. And some people just prefer studying in groups because they enjoy the company of another person.
Yeah, some may have a different approach in terms of what method of studying that suits them, right?
Yeah.
So that's number 2. You have figured out your methods of studying.
Yeah. And for tip number 3 is to practice on your weaknesses. Like for me, I'm very weak in my ad maths. So what I do is I try to do a sum every single day to improve on it. And if I don't understand what I'm doing, I just approach my teacher and they just help me. And by practicing on my ad maths, I can see myself actually improving in it and understanding more every day.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing your weakness and forget about it, but it's to deal with it.
Yeah, you don't ignore it.
So that's tip number 3.
Yeah. And tip number 4 is to never overwork yourself, because I tend to do that with myself and I just end up forgetting what I studied in the beginning and getting too distracted by the end. So I think having breaks in the middle will help you focus more and just remember things easier.
So basically, when you plan ahead, that's when you get yourself more structured, less stressed.
Yeah, that's actually the 5th point, is to plan ahead of your tests and exams. Because yeah, when I get a test or if I know a test is coming up, I plan a week earlier and I just give myself specific pages of my book to memorize until the day of the test is on. And I find that very beneficial because memorizing is my main way of studying, because my memory, in my opinion, is not very strong. So by memorizing, I tend to remember very easier. But some people prefer to study last minute, which also proves to be effective on them, but it's just not my method of studying.
Yeah, like you said earlier, some people prefer other different methods of approaching their studies. What else do you have to share with us?
The 6th tip is to always ask for help. Like I mentioned earlier, in my previous school, I was very afraid to ask for help from my friends or teachers. But ever since I moved here to Cranbridge, the environment is way smaller, which has made me way more comfortable. And I'm not afraid to raise my hand in class and ask for something I didn't understand, which is actually very beneficial because the teachers will always help me no matter what, and they will explain to me as many times as I want until I understand, which is why I have learned to not be afraid to ask for any help.
So the institution itself creates a very conducive environment for you to develop and be outstanding.
Yeah, it really has. And the 7th tip is to always try to stay motivated. Like for me, I mentioned that having work motivates me, but some people have different ways of motivating themselves, and I think that's good because by staying motivated on a daily basis, you tend to stick to it and like have the need to study every day. And I think that's really good because once it becomes a habit, it's
within you.
Yeah, it's a daily thing. It becomes a normal thing to do.
Correct.
And tip number 8 is to never overwork yourself, because I tend to do that with myself, which can be very ineffective. So basically, you should not study for long hours that are huge amounts, where instead you should actually just have intervals while you're studying, which actually helps you remember better, because normally when I study for long hours, I end up forgetting what I studied in the beginning, which can be very annoying for me because then I have to go back and memorize what I want to do.
Go through all over again.
Yeah. And tip number 9 is to have breaks, which follows up from tip number 8. So basically I study for an hour or a few hours every day, and between every hour I have 20-minute breaks, which is where I just go on my phone, or if I'm hungry I just grab a bite to eat, which just relaxes my mind, because normally when I'm studying I get a little stressed from how much I have to memorize or if my test is approaching. So having breaks really just calms you down, and from any other stress that you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or you can't be focusing solely on studies. You have to get yourself, give yourself breaks.
Yeah, and the last tip is to actually get your responsibilities out of the way, because I normally have a lot of homework, and what I do is I do it first rather than studying first, because if I study first while I still have homework to do or any other chores to do, I tend to worry about it while studying, which distracts me from what I have to remember,
Mhm.
and I'll just be worried about it, and I'll just keep thinking about it, which is why I think you should clear out your other responsibilities and just focus on
Basically, that's just
studying.
give you concentration on what you have to do. If you have to study, get everything else out of the way.
Yeah, I always do it last.
Correct, that's right. Those are very important tips and tricks from Sharritta, and from ordinary to outstanding within just 2.5 years with proper guidance and proper environment around her. And yeah, we're all very excited to know, with all these tips and tricks that you have given us, what is your future plan, or rather, what is your ambition?
Oh, well, my ambition is to become a doctor or a surgeon because I've always been interested in science and I'm very passionate about it. So hopefully one day I do become one.
Will be Dr. Sharritta in the house. Probably another 10 more years. We'll call you back in.
Sure, I
Yeah.
hope so.
So, what are the message that you would like to share with all our viewers out there?
A message that I would like to share is that it really is never too late to start because I just started a few years ago and I saw myself excel and actually achieve the grades I really wanted to get. So basically all you have to do is try to push yourself and just make sure you do everything in your power to just reach where you want to be, because with the right type of motivation and environment I was able to achieve that and I'm very grateful for that.
So that's a living proof of all children can and will learn, for as long as they have all the conducive environment that they need. With all that, thank you so much, Sharritta.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the session. And if you have further inquiries, do keep in touch on our live chat feature, as well as our group chat on the PISF virtual fair. Follow Cranbridge on Instagram, Facebook, and its official website. And don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe to Cranbridge Edu Group on YouTube. Thank you for watching.